In downtown Portland, work crews put protective plywood over storefront windows. It's in anticipation of massive protests or marches connected to the presidential election Tuesday night. The fresh plywood joins blocks and blocks of other buildings already boarded up to help them survive the past several months of protests, which sometimes turned violent in the city. Oregon Governor Kate Brown took the new concerns head on Monday when she ordered the state police and Multnomah County Sheriff's Office to take charge of security for the city and put the National Guard on standby.
I want to be very, very clear that voter intimidation and political violence will not be tolerated. Not from the left, not from the right, and not from the center. Not this week, not any week in Oregon.
It's the first time in recent history that the three organizations were mobilized to protect the city during an election. And while Portland City Police are not allowed to use tear gas, the other agencies can. Despite the promise of extra law enforcement, businesses are doing what they can to prepare. There's so much plywood going up in downtown Portland and around the city, it looks almost like we're preparing for a hurricane.
Exactly. I feel like I'm in Florida. Definitely. Everybody's a little bit scared.
Stacy Gibson owns a Subway franchise in downtown Portland. She shared video from early in October when she said someone shot holes in her front door. She's one of many now worried about violent rampages through the city connected to the election.
We're getting ready. We'll finish boarding up probably tonight or tomorrow morning, just like everybody else around here. As you can see, we're starting to board up everything out of precautions more than anything else. So a little nervous.
The head of the Portland Business Alliance, the city's version of the Chamber of Commerce, urged residents to denounce violence and destruction.
Portlanders should reject that sort of behavior. It does not represent a political view. It's simply violence and criminal activity.
Hopefully, the plywood will not be needed, but the experience of the past several months suggests otherwise. And so, the work continues. In downtown Portland, Pat Doris, KGW News.